what is the AD and the BC on your show?
So what kind of happened for me is we mentioned this a little bit in the first half is really identifying what I provide that's different from any other show in this niche. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, I am about as indie as it gets. I'm a one-man band. I do the whole thing myself. And so at the very beginning, I genuinely don't think I could have told you what I do differently. I think that I have a slightly unique perspective, and maybe I do it with a little bit more music, but I couldn't identify exactly what it is that I want you to gain from my episode that you won't get from anybody else. When I took the time to really figure out what I could do to stand out and to just give a different take on some of these stories, I found that all of a sudden when it came to scripting my show, because I am a solo episode, I do everything on my own. And so I do script my entire program and I do record that pretty much straight through. But when it came time to kind of write out what I believed and what I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to say, all of a sudden I had this whole new perspective of how I wanted to approach each topic. Instead of I'm a bit of a research nut. If I could do any job in my life right now, I would be an anthropologist, but there's no jobs in anthropology. But rather than approaching it from like the anthropologist or investigative researcher's perspective and just throwing everything at an audience and being like, if I'm going to cover this topic, I'm going to overturn every rock and pebble and you're going to know everything. It gave me now a filter to put this information through when it came to writing my script and have a thesis and a purpose behind the things that I chose to include. Allowed me to be a little bit more strategic and specific and streamline my show down to a real like magnifying glass that I was looking at this episode through. And so when I talk about BC and AD, BC is basically every episode up until the episode about Bobby Mackey's Music World, and AD is everything after, because that was really the point where it clicked for me. I got it. And I sat back from that script and I was like, that's cool. That's different. I'm not saying that anything about the previous episodes, because I love them all. Some of my favorite episodes are prior to that. But that was the moment when I found like the beating heart of what my show is and who I wanted to be, and a content that I felt like was capable of stepping into the echelon of the morbids and that's why we drink and that space. I was like, this feels like it belongs there now. Before that, I felt like I was doing a great job presenting the content and the research and the stories, but all of a sudden it felt like it could run somewhere beyond just the background and just the stories.
What do you think, like how many episodes in was that? Like 10 episodes in, 100 episodes in? What would you say?
That was probably about 45 episodes in.
Okay.
And so
45.
one of the biggest things that I honestly would say to other indie podcasters out there, and I don't know if other people are saying this, but it really worked for me, is don't be afraid to play and to try different formats and try different takes and these. Like I felt myself at the very beginning feeling locked in from the very jump with something that I had never done before. And as soon as I kind of got over myself and got over my hesitancy and trusted that my listener, especially the ones that were with me from the beginning, because they're probably friends and family jumping on right from the jump, that they would go there with me and allow me to try different things until I found something that was like, aha, that's it. That's when walls can talk. That's what it sounds like. That's what it feels like. And this is how I tell a story. I think that's one of the things that if I could go back to the beginning and tell myself is, don't forget that you started doing this to have fun and to tell stuff that really mattered to you. And it's okay for it to take 45 episodes before all of a sudden you're like, got it. I got it. And I'm sure 45 episodes from now, it'll happen again where it's like, okay, now I dialed that in even further. But that's just my experience. I don't know if everybody would agree with that perspective, but it's worked for me.